On this episode of the Layover Live, Grant stops by to talk personalized advertising.
More personalized. On this episode of Grant Stoltz Live, we talk about me. That's right, me.
Hey, Grant, hey.
We're filming.
Oh, you're still here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 72 of the Layover Live, where we bring you the top article from the Layover each week. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Digital Marketing, joined by my good friend Grant Stoltz, Strategic Analyst. So, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
Always good to have you here. If we're here, we're talking about strategy, and we're talking about really personalization this week, which is a really big thing. Niche marketing, which has been a really big thing. We talk about it often, Grant, as you know, but we don't really see a whole lot of it, at least put into good use. At least in the circles that we run in, right? So I want to talk about it a little bit because the article of this week comes out from Think with Google, which really talks about how to personalize video ads in particular. They kind of use cold sores as an example, so we're not going to talk about cold sores today. I don't think that's ever a good idea to talk about. But we are going to talk about personalization. So what are they really, what's the underlying strategy here? What are they trying to get across in this article?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the example they give in the article is about a cold sore medication company. So while strange in nature, the execution of some of their marketing is really well done. What they did was they made essentially over 100 different video ads targeting very small different niche groups, really focusing on the value add or the value proposition for their product relative to that group. So an example was, again, if it was targeting someone with families or with kids, there would be some more content in the ad about families and kids.
Right.
So really the idea there is marketing not to just one blanket group, but actually creating these small micro pieces of content for those small individual groups, just to elicit a little bit more of a connection than you would, again, with trying to kind of be the jack of all trades as it was with your marketing. Yeah,
so and let's talk about that a little bit too, right? Because the thought of, I think for marketers out there, hey, I've got to create 100 different assets and cut up 100 pieces of video, that seems pretty overwhelming, right? But the article does address some really good ways to be able to do that at scale. So let's talk a little bit about that for marketers out there, because oftentimes we're wearing many different hats and we don't have a lot of time to do a lot of this. So how can we manage a project like this and provide personalized content at scale?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question because when you say, oh, just make 100 pieces of content, that probably makes most marketers want to run to the hills. So one thing that they talk about in the article, and just a really good strategy overall, is that when you say 100 different pieces of content, it's really not that every single piece of content is entirely unique for every single second. If it was, for example, this company, they have just, again, the value add and the value proposition is the same at the end for all of their video ads. It's the lead-in that's different. So again, instead of having a single male, it might be someone with children, a lead-in for their ad. So really it's looking at what your audience is and using just sort of a lead-in as it was, but keeping a lot of the same core content the same. So really, if you're making an ad for a certain target group, maybe the only 5 seconds of your ad, the first 5 seconds of it is different than the other one. And the other 25 seconds are exactly the same. Or maybe it's 2 video clips are subbed out, but a lot of some other B-roll is still there. So really it's just taking small little pieces and changing them rather than having to start from the drawing board every single time with every piece of content.
Yeah, the article actually does bring up a good tool as well, which is excellent, which is Director Mix, which is a really Google's way of being able to do video, cut up video at scale, right? So there's other tools out there. Google has other tools. There's other creative tools out there as well that allow you to really create ads at scale, which is pretty cool.
Just dragging and dropping clips in rather than starting fresh every time.
Yeah, absolutely. But it also brings up a good point then, is we have to think about, okay, well, how do we reach these audiences? If I've got to go in there and optimize then across all these channels, I got to optimize across 100 different assets plus. That's challenging, and that's kind of like where AI can come in and help. So maybe let's talk about how AI comes into play to make us help with those optimizations.
Yeah, so that was kind of the last piece they talked about in this article was, okay, so I've ran all these ads for these 100 different pieces of content. How do I know what's working, what's not? And really that's where AI comes into play. Google has tons and tons and tons of data, more than we could ever fathom. So it's really actually kind of letting the machines do their job and optimize the video placements for us. So for example, if you have 5 different family pieces of content, you run them against the same audience, and you actually just say, hey, Google Ads, I want you to pick what the best one to serve is based off the data you're seeing, rather than having to manually download all the data, parse it, see if there's any statistical significance of one versus the other. You kind of let the AI algorithm that Google has in place do the job, because at the end of the day, it's a good experience for the end user who's actually watching the ad, and then it's also a good experience for the advertiser as well, because they're making more efficient decisions and spending more money with Google, which kind of is their game as well.
No, it very much is their game, and that's really good. That's actually a really good use case of AI, because it allows us to take a lot of the heavy lifting and put it on machine learning, which can really help us then create these personalized experiences at scale. So talking about personalized experiences, Grant and I are also going to be doing a session called the Layover Live at Summit this year, which is coming up in just a few weeks. We're going to be doing a panel discussion, actually filming a live Layover episode on Tuesday afternoon at Summit. So we'd love for you to come out and check that out, where we are going to be talking with others in the industry about the way they're using personalization in a lot of their advertising. So Grant, thanks for stopping by and sharing the insights this week.
Of course.
Really good article, check it out. Anytime we're talking about personalizing content, we're doing a good thing. So thank you for tuning in each week. Have a great day. If you're not subscribed, please do so now, and we'll see you next time.